You couldn't see what was behind you. Your legs felt heavy, like they were moving through water. Your heart was already pounding before you opened your eyes. You probably shook it off as just a dream. But the real answer is far stranger. That chase wasn't random. It wasn't your mind glitching in the dark. It was a rehearsal that started forming long before you were born, and long before your parents were born. For most of the 20th century, the leading explanation for dreams came from Sigmund Freud. He believed dreams were wish fulfillment, a stage where hidden desires played out in disguise. That idea shaped psychology for decades. Then researchers stopped theorizing and started counting. Psychologists Calvin Hall and Robert Van de Castle collected thousands of dream reports from people across different cultures, ages, and decades. If Freud was right, you'd expect a wide mix of desires and fantasies. That isn't what the data showed. Across nearly every population studied, the same content kept resurfacing. Being chased, falling from somewhere high, fighting an enemy you couldn't quite see, strangers who meant harm. Threats appeared far more often than anything pleasant. Why would the mind use its only unconscious hours to keep rehearsing danger? Finnish cognitive scientist Antti Revonsuo had an answer, and he gave it a name: threat simulation. Theory. His idea was simple. Dreaming evolved as a kind of flight simulator for danger, a space where your ancestors could practice noticing and escaping threats without ever facing the real consequences of getting it wrong. Think about a fire drill at school. No actual flames, no real risk, just a pattern the body lays down, ready to use the moment it's needed for real. Revonsuo argued the sleeping brain has been running that same drill every single night for hundreds of thousands of years. That theory lines up with something else researchers have uncovered about how ancient nights actually worked. Historian Roger E. Kirch spent years studying sleep before the invention of artificial light. What he found challenges almost everything you assume about a normal night's rest. Humans didn't sleep in one long block. They slept in two segments, broken up by an hour or more of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night. During that gap, there was no glowing phone to check, no clock to glance at, just stillness and the sound of whatever might be moving outside the fire's light. That half-awake, half-alert state may be exactly where threat rehearsal dreaming did its most important work. Your ancestors weren't just sleeping through the night. In a sense, they were still on watch. Here's the part that should unsettle you a little. You don't live in that world anymore. You probably haven't outrun a predator in your entire life. Your door has a lock. Your room has a switch that floods it with light in an instant. So why hasn't the dreaming stopped? You still dream of being chased by something with no clear shape. You still dream of falling, with nothing nearby to grab. You still wake up breathless from a threat that technically doesn't exist anywhere in your actual life. Your brain never got the memo that the world changed. It's still running the same simulation your ancestors ran by a dying fire, half listening for movement in the dark. The danger now might look like a deadline, or a hard conversation, or a fear you can't quite name. But the machinery underneath reacts exactly the way it always has. So the next time you wake up breathless from a dream you can't explain, remember what's actually happening behind your eyes. It isn't a malfunction. It's an inheritance. A rehearsal passed down through hundreds of thousands of nights, quietly preparing you for a danger your body has never forgotten, even though the world around you finally has. Last night, you dreamed of being chased, and in a way, so did every person who came before you, all the way back to the first human who closed their eyes beside a fire and trusted the dark to let them wake up again.